You know that muffled noise when a rumor breaks in the Bronx? Well, today it wasn't just one, it was two. Two warning signs shaking every corner of Yankee Stadium, showing that anyone who wants October can't afford to doze off, not even for an inning. On one side, a rival that seemed dormant made a move and reminded the Bronx that the market waits for no one. On the other, a bold proposal that could bring to the Yankees bullpen a name capable of changing every late-game scenario, but it also comes at a price. A big price. And if you're part of the Pinstripe Nation, you know every detail matters. Every rumor turns into a barroom debate. Every bad decision becomes a regret that lasts a decade. So do this now. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because the clock is ticking, Cashman's phone won't stop ringing, and here, we're going to live every detail until the deadline. Drop a comment. What price would you pay to see October turn into November? Let's dive in. News number one. Yankees AL East rivals pull off a pitcher trade. Imagine waking up today and coming face to face with a trade that, at first glance, seems small, but shows exactly how the American League East board is shifting right under the Yankees' nose. The Baltimore Orioles, who started the year dreaming big, decided to hit the brakes, and the Tampa Bay Rays, hungry for October baseball, grabbed exactly what they needed to become even more dangerous. The name this time? Brian Baker, a pitcher many in the Bronx believed could be wearing pinstripes this summer. For those who breathe the Bronx, no rumor is pointless. Every rival's move is a red flag flashing in the hallways of Yankee Stadium. Because fans know this time of year, no one can afford a nap. The market waits for no one who's late. But let's break down what really happened. Brian Baker, right-handed, 30 years old, a 5-season MLB veteran, was having a solid run with the Orioles. 3 wins, 2 losses, 2 saves, a 3.52 ERA in 42 games so far. In his career, he carries a 3.70 ERA in 174 appearances. Consistent numbers for a guy used to handling crucial innings. For a bullpen that struggled with injuries and depth issues like the Yankees, he's exactly the kind of piece that could come in without costing a fortune. But the Bronx didn't act first. Tampa Bay did. The Rays, solidly holding third place in the AL East with 50 wins and 43 losses, decided not to tempt fate. They need to secure every extra win, so they don't see a wild card spot slip through their fingers. And for that, they went to Baltimore and got Baker out of there. In return, the Orioles landed the 37th overall pick in the MLB draft through this deal. And that's not nothing. Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic explained it clearly. Competitive balance picks are the only ones teams are allowed to trade. Baltimore now holds 4 very valuable picks near the top, 19th, 30th, 31st, and 37th. It's living proof that a team that started the season aiming for the top now has to rebuild from scratch any way it can. And how does this hit the Yankees? Simple. Every arm that comes off the market is a wake-up call for those still in the fight. The Bronx bullpen still needs depth. Everyone who follows a rotation knows that long innings end up wearing down relievers early. Injuries? They've already come knocking more than once this year. And in the middle of all this, the front office is under pressure not to screw up. Fans have seen this movie before. A missing piece in August can mean an October shorter than anyone wants. Now look at the context. The Yankees have always been masters at knowing the right time to act. Who does remember when they pulled David Cone from the Blue Jays in '95? Or the guts to send valuable prospects to bring in key pieces during those old World Series runs? That's what gave the Bronx its reputation for being aggressive. When Steinbrenner calls, the checkbook comes out. But lately, that image has gotten a bit tarnished. Fans are growing impatient, and every rumor that dies before becoming a deal only adds to the pressure. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay is showing how it's done. With 50 wins and 43 losses, the Rays are chasing the division-leading Toronto Blue Jays, just 4 games back. And with this bullpen addition, they gain the stamina to hold on to tight leads in the most important games. For them, the trade is cheap. Baker's making $768, 000 this season, and still has 3 years of arbitration left. In other words, a controllable contract that doesn't weigh down the payroll and helps balance the roster. Over in Baltimore, the mood is a mix of disappointment and hope. The Orioles' 40 wins and 50 losses were seen as one of the most interesting up-and-coming teams in the American League, but they slipped badly. Now, they're betting on the draft to try and fix what didn't work out on the field. And the Yankees? The clock keeps ticking. There's a little over 3 weeks left until the MLB trade deadline on July 31st. The Baker rumor may seem like a small detail, but every detail counts. He's the kind of arm you miss today that could mean that gritty win tomorrow that secures a playoff series at home. So here's the question that won't go away. If the Yankees had moved earlier, would it have been worth giving up a draft pick to bring in Baker? Or does it make more sense to hold those chips for something bigger? A big name that really changes the level of the bullpen, or even the entire rotation, and more. If the Bronx keeps losing names like this, what's left on the market when the deadline hits? It's this roller coaster that makes the Pinstripe Nation Live every rumor like it's the end of the season. And that's why I want to hear from you. Who do you think the Bronx should target now? A cheap arm to plug a hole, or a blockbuster move that really changes the odds in October? Would you trade promising prospects or hold on to everything for 2026? Drop your thoughts below, because this decision isn't just up to Cashman. Every fan's voice counts right now. News number 2. Yankees trade proposal grabs Devin Williams' replacement in form of 1.52 ERA closer. Close your eyes for a second and feel the energy of a warm night in the Bronx. The scoreboard shows a slim lead. 1 run separates victory from collapse, and out of the bullpen comes a man who carries the weight of millions of fans. Every pitch is a test of nerves. Every opposing swing is a scare that makes Yankee Stadium hold its breath. That's how Pinstripe fans have been living night after night, knowing that without a trustworthy relief arm, every October dream can turn into a nightmare in the blink of an eye. And there's plenty of reason for that anxiety. Since that dark slide in mid-June, when the team started slipping, the Yankees bullpen has become a hole that's tough to fill. According to Fangraphs, since then, the Bronx has had the 5th least valuable bullpen in the league. And the number that really stings? An ERA of 5.19, 6th worst in all of MLB in that span. For a team aiming for the World Series, that's not just an ugly stat. It's a real threat to the only thing that matters, winning in October. With every trade rumor, the fan base is split. Some say hold on to prospects, believe that the current pieces will be enough. But there are also those who believe it's time to do what has always defined the Yankees. Be ruthless when you need to be. Because, let's be honest, when has the Bronx ever been afraid to open a checkbook or sacrifice the future for a winning present? And that's where the name Duran shoots across the sky like a comet. When the Athletic floated the possibility of Duran leaving the Minnesota Twins, the alarms blared throughout Yankee Stadium. Duran is not just any bullpen arm. He's a closer who, in their words, has 3 dominant pitches and results that are impossible to match. A triple-digit fastball, 2 breaking balls that make hitters swing at air. The guy simply doesn't give up home runs. More than 70 innings without a ball leaving the yard. Since 2022, Only Devin Williams has more win probability added than he does. If that weren't enough to make any GM drool, there's a financial detail. Duran is still cheap and under team control through 2027. For the Twins, he's the kind of asset worth asking the world for. And for the Yankees, he's the type of piece that could turn an unstable bullpen into one of the most feared in the league. To put into perspective, what Duran is doing this year is obscene. A 1.56 ERA with 45 strikeouts in 40.1 innings. It's like buying guaranteed outs. It's knowing that when the bullpen door opens in the 8th or 9th inning, the silence turns into celebration, not terror. And with Luke Weaver, Devin Williams, and Tim Hill having to shoulder more weight than they should, it makes even more sense why this rumor shook the Bronx so much. But of course, it's not as simple as snapping your fingers and it's done. Minnesota isn't foolish. They're going to ask for premium prospects, the kind that fans already see as the future. And that's the dilemma that has defined so many eras of pinstripe baseball. Sell tomorrow to win today, or trust that what you have is enough to get you to the finish line. Anyone following knows that Cashman is no rookie at this. Since 2021, he's reinforced the bullpen every deadline. Clay Holmes, Joely Rodriguez, Efros, Trevino Middleton, Leiter Jr. But it's never been such a clear-cut case of urgency as it is now. Back then, the bullpen was healthy, strong, with more reliable options. Now, the hole is deep. Weaver, Jonathan Loaisiga, Leiter, Hamilton, all being pushed to the limit without the security that a championship bullpen needs. And as if that weren't enough, there are the injuries that hit like a punch to the gut. Fernando Cruz went down with an oblique injury. Jake Cousins, who could have been a reinforcement, won't wear a uniform this year because of Tommy John surgery. Suddenly, it's no longer a question of it will be nice to have. It's a question of survival. Meanwhile, the market is moving. Fans saw it with their own eyes. The Baltimore Orioles, a division rival who started the year with big campaign promises, disappointed and ended up sending Brian Baker to the Tampa Bay Rays. Baltimore pocketed the 37th overall draft pick, a bet on the future. Meanwhile, the Rays, with 50 wins and 43 losses, hold third place in the AL East, for games behind the Toronto Blue Jays, but firmly holding a wild card spot. That trade, seemingly small, shows that anyone who wants October doesn't wait for phone to ring. They call first. And the Bronx? They watch, weigh each move, measure the cost-benefit. The fear is real. Making a mistake now could mean watching rivals celebrate, while the bleachers at Yankee Stadium chew on regret. And you, fan, you know how that feels. Nothing stings more than looking back and thinking we lack the guts. So, the question that explodes like a home run on a summer afternoon is, what's the price worth paying for peace of mind? If Duran comes in, Cashman locks down a wall at the team's weakest point. It's the kind of move that doesn't just protect the ERA, it protects the October dream. But what about the prospects? Is it worth sacrificing someone who could be the next pinstripe idol? How many times have we seen a Bronx gem shine, far from a Bronx? With every call Cashman makes, that equation gets heavier. Fans feel it. Every rumor, every stat, every ERA that pops up on their phone screen becomes bar talk, group chat debate, bleacher argument. But if there's one thing Bronx history teaches, it's that when the clock tightens, this uniform always knows how to move. Just remember David Cohn in '95, or those bold trades that turn into flags waving in the outfield. So what about you? What would you do? Hold every prospect like they're untouchable, or go all in on a Duran type to guarantee outs when they matter most? Drop your answer in the comments, because here, the voice of Pinstripe Nation hits like a hammer when it's time to demand results. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and send this video to every friend who stays up all night glued to bullpen rumors. because until July 31st, the phone at Yankee Stadium will keep ringing. And when it does, Cashman better pick up with courage, because pitching has always been a priority. And whoever forgets that in the Bronx usually watches October from the couch. Here, every detail matters. Every rumor can turn into the move that changes everything. And if the bullpen goes back to being as strong as it should be, then my friend, get a spot ready in the trophy case for another ring. Let's go Yankees.